Hey there, college sports fans. Well, it wasn't much of a Pinstripe Bowl between Clemson and Penn State. The Nittany Lions come away with a big win. The Tigers not showing a lot of energy, and a better lead to the Tigers showing a lot of energy and effort and making things happen in the transfer portal this offseason. That's my takeaway from that bowl game. We'll talk about a few other things as well, aspects of the game and what they could mean for Clemson's future in this offseason and the coming season. I'm Bill Zimmerman. This is the Reign Spring All Way Podcast, Season 4.
I'm Daniel Shirley. My takeaway is that I hate that Adam Randall is leaving and doesn't have another year of play to play. A lot of the other guys, not so much. I think it's time, especially at some big time positions. I think it's time at quarterback for there to be a new face, a fresh start there, whoever that may be. And I think you and I have the same opinion on who that's going to be next year. I think if you're a Clemson fan and you think Clemson's going in the portal for a big name quarterback, you're going to be gravely disappointed. I don't see that being the case. I think Christopher Vizzina is Clemson's guy. He's Dabo's guy, and we've seen the last 5 years. Dabo's guy was DJ. Dabo's guy was Cade Klubnik. And I know that DJ did get benched in the ACC championship game, but it was clear that Cade Klubnik was Dabo's guy the last 3 years. And you've been calling for a change at quarterback for much longer than most have, Bill. And I totally agree with you. And now we get that change finally. And I think that has to, I don't care who's playing quarterback next year, to be honest, right here as we sit here in late December. I'm just glad that it's time to move on from what we've seen from the last few years. And to your point of what we were kind of talking about before we started the episode, what we saw Saturday at quarterback was a lot of what we've seen the last 3 years at quarterback. And, you just say, okay, it's time. It's enough of that. Somebody else has to be able to do it differently than that. I don't know if it's going to be better than that, but it can't be that anymore. We've seen enough of that. Holding the ball too long, not reading the field, not feeling the pressure, not being able to run the offense, no situational awareness, any of that stuff. It's time to move on. And Cade has been Cade Klubnik is a fine young man. He's been a good representative of our alma mater. He's never been a problem. All that stuff's true. But playing the position of quarterback, I would contend that if you rank Dabo's starting quarterback since he's been the head coach, since, not when he was the interim, but since he's been the boss, I'd put him down there at the bottom. And I don't know that it's particularly close.
There are so many, when you're buying a car, you're buying a house, and you look at the fit and finish, right? Like you look at those little extra details that make quality or not quality. Those are the quality issues that remain with Cade Klubnik. There's so many rough spots. There's so many, the decision making is not good. Not understanding if it's 3rd and 17, you can't hit your outlet guy if your outlet guy has a defender within 2 yards of him. You're better off throwing it away and preserving field position. You're better off taking a deep shot, trying an arm punt, doing anything. But the backward scrambles and the throwing sideways like an action movie star trying to fire off a few rounds while he's parallel to the ground and falling down and those things just can't keep happening. We've been through that enough. I do think there is hope if we see Vizzina next year. I do think there's hope from what we saw against SMU with his willingness to look through progressions, his willingness to be a little more patient with letting a play unfold. I think he looked more like a pocket passer quarterback, and we'll find out if he does start next year. We'll find out if he can really pick up enough experience to make that happen as the season goes on. The fact that Christopher Vizzina did not play in the Pinstripe Bowl is a failure if he is being absolutely cemented in as the starter, if he is truly Dabo Swinney's guy, if it's truly his turn to become the starting quarterback. You had to get Vizzina more snaps in that Pinstripe Bowl. It wasn't working with Klubnik. Why not try another guy? Remember when it wasn't working with Kyle Parker at the end of Kyle Parker's time at quarterback? They tried another guy and got him some experience to build off of. That quarterback turned out to be Taj Boyd, one of the legends of Clemson football, one of the best ever to play at quarterback. we don't have enough experience, enough tape, enough reps to look at Vizina and go, oh yeah, he's definitely the next man up, no problem whatsoever. Some people want Chris Denson. He have a few snaps, a couple of possessions against Furman for crying out loud. But then those people will turn on social media or message boards and they'll say, "Oh, Vizina played against one of the worst pass defenses in the country against SMU." Well, he played 3 quarters. Played a full 4 quarters. He didn't look good in the first quarter. He played 3 really nice quarters in that game. Really put his act together. And I like that kind of progression. If you start off with difficulties, but you find it and you put it together and you start making things happen, I just don't think Vizina is it. I'm not convinced Garrett Riley is it. What have I said before? He's had 4 years to get to know Cade Klubnik and what Klubnik can and cannot do. And the play calling has not reflected uh, options that Klubnik can properly execute. What are my odds that okay, he's going to find the best version of Christopher Vizzina, or is he just going to make Vizzina run whatever play is called? I would love to see, and I think I mentioned this before, it's turned into a best of at this point. It's a box set. This episode is a box set of all the things we've said in the past. I want to see the Brent Venables model. Go get a transfer quarterback and his current offensive coordinator, bring them both into the program, plug and play, make everyone better around them by having a quarterback who has proven that he can run the system that his offensive coordinator is calling. But I predict that that will not happen. And so we'll find out. Look, I'll back Christopher Vizzina. I was just on the golf course yesterday. I see a lot of golf on his Instagram, so I can kind of identify with the guy. I certainly can't play quarterback as well as him. I probably don't play golf as well as him either, quite frankly. But the fact of the matter is, it's endemic of let's turn this into something bigger. It's endemic of, well, this is what Clemson does, and we're going to do this no matter what. Where is the Dabo Swinney who said, "Hey, I can't start Kyle Parker anymore. Hey, we can't have Kevin Steele as our defensive coordinator anymore. Hey, we need a major change at offensive coordinator. I'm going to bring Chad Morrison. He's going to overhaul the whole thing, and I'm going to turn it over to him and let him make this his system." Where is that imagination? Because I think Tom Allen got caught in between the old and the new this year. It seems like he is asserting himself this offseason. We'll see if he can get the 10 portal guys that he wants. That's going to be something to watch in the next couple of weeks and find out if Dabo Swinney is really willing to let his guys do their shopping and do their cooking. We'll find out if Garrett Riley or another offensive coordinator gets that opportunity as well. I think Riley also had to kind of fit his stuff into the old. And I'm not sure that that's worked out either, but it's hard to say because we know for a fact that Cade Klubnik didn't always run what was called. Same thing in the Pinstripe Bowl. We don't know what it was, but he didn't get to 200 yards. The offense did not look good overall. Granted, it was a makeshift offensive line, but there were times when Klubnik had time to operate and simply made the wrong decisions with the ball, held it too long, threw it to the wrong guy, didn't find an open guy, what have you. It's all the same stuff we've seen before, and it's time for change. It's time
Yeah.
for change in a way that we have not seen since Chad Morris joined Clemson. Be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/Clemson Kickoff. It's free. It's the best place to catch all our episodes, and it's the best place for you to comment with your reactions.
A couple things. This is the biggest offseason Clemson's had
Oh, yeah.
since 2010, right? I mean, this is a big time. I mean, Bill, look, in about 4 or 5 years, we're going to be in a huge change of. You think college football has changed the last 3 years? Wait till the 2030s when all those contracts run out.
Yeah.
The
The
TV
conference
contracts,
TV contracts. Yep.
the playoff contract runs out, all that stuff. We're going to see a big change with college football. All this talk about breaking away with college football, that's going to happen. You don't want to be going 7-6 when that stuff happens because you're going to get left behind. You don't want to be in that second tier, Clemson, because you're going to get left behind. But a couple of things about the game yesterday, and I'm going to start with quarterback. There were a couple of plays that stood out to me. There's one play, I think it was in the first half. I think it was third down. Cade drops back, and it might have been 3rd and 10 or whatever. And Gideon Davidson goes out in the flat, and nobody goes with him. And you immediately read that. You don't hold the ball for 5 seconds and then read it till somebody can get to him. You immediately read that, especially if you're a third-year starter. And you dump it to him and let him go get the first down. Instead, He holds it, he holds it, he holds it, he holds it, he gets sacked. There were 6 or 7 drops. So this isn't all on Cade. First drive, 3rd and 2, they run a perfect play. He throws a perfect ball. Tyler Brown drops it. I think it was the 3rd drive. They run a slant. Tyler Brown, if he catches it, probably runs for another 20 yards, drops it.
That was a
There
really
was
well thrown ball too, by the way.
right.
Yeah.
There were several other drops. So this isn't the bang on Cade Klubnik episode. We've done that one before. This was a complete meltdown offensively by this team. It was the offensive line's not very good, and there were 3 starters playing yesterday, and they all looked average at best. I know that many of the defensive linemen weren't out there. They got whipped up front throughout that game, especially in the second half. Well, you say, oh, well, we didn't have our guys. Penn State didn't have its guys either.
Right.
Their second and third teams whipped your second and third teams. The
Depth.
safeties, depth. The safeties covering grass. 3rd and 15, we cover grass. We give up a 17-yard pass. 3rd and 9, we cover grass. We give up a 12-yard pass for first down. 3rd and 10, you give up a completion, you don't make the tackle, they take it to the house. And then, Bill, the last drive, or maybe not last drive, but you score the touchdown finally. Adam Randall finally scores. And hats off to Adam Randall.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say that. He was Clemson's best player start to finish this year.
Absolutely.
Played hard, played smart, played well, better than anybody on the field, better than any of the coaches. He did his job. You finally get the touchdown. There's 6.5 minutes left. I don't know why you've been burning timeouts. That was a complete failure by the coaching staff. Why are you calling timeout with 7.5 minutes left? But anyway, and it's the SMU again. You get a stop. You get the ball back. You got some momentum. They run it right down your throat.
Yeah.
Can't get off the field. Linebackers are slow. Safeties are out of position. You're getting pushed around up front. So this game, to me, like if you said encapsulate the season in one game, and I know that Peter Woods and Parker and all those guys aren't there. That's fine. But this game is the capsule for the 2025 season. And I know you beat South Carolina and you beat Florida State, and we've talked about all that, how great that was. You are mediocre at best. You finished 4-4. I can't remember. Somebody tweeted this out. 4-4 in the ACC for the second time in 3 years. You're under 500 at home. You can't beat SEC teams. You had lost 7 straight SEC games until you beat South Carolina. At least that's what somebody tweeted. I don't know that that's right, but that one sounds about right. So you're mediocre. That's who you are right now. And that better light a fire this offseason. If not, you're going to be worse next year. And then where are you as a program? And I'm telling you, when all these changes are coming, you're going to be Duke and Boston College. And heck, I shouldn't even take shots at Duke. They ran up and down the field on you.
They beat us the last 2 times we played them, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get left behind. And you're paying too much money to get left behind. Coaches, players, facilities, all that stuff. I don't know that they have the right people in place to evaluate the talent. I had somebody say on Twitter it's about talent. Yes, it is. But who brings in the talent?
And who develops the talent, like you've talked about.
Right. Exactly. They're not getting the talent, and if they do, they don't develop.
Yeah.
You tell me, and you and I kind of talked about this a little bit before, and I don't want to take shots at individual players, but is Blake Miller, I know he had a good career, started a bunch of games. Is he any better now than he was as a freshman? Is Cade better than he was as a sophomore?
Right.
Is Tristan Lee any better than when he first started? I mean, his first year didn't really count. He didn't play. But he's not any better. And I don't see that. This is supposed to be a developmental program. They don't develop talent anymore.
Right.
And it feels like this program is back to the Tommy Bowden years of
7-6 sure says that, doesn't it?
7-6 says it. You lose 4 games last year. And I know it's the new era of college football where you're going to lose more games than going 15-0 and 14. You're going to lose more games because you're playing tougher games. I get that. But 7-6 for what you're paying for is not good enough.
Right.
And
Well,
that has to lead to some changes on the coaching staff. It has to.
connect with us on social media. That's at Clemson Kickoff. Whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, or Facebook, you'll find us there. I completely agree. And you and I have been reluctant to get into which guys stay and which guys go. I can see,
Sure.
I just talked about Riley. I can see a case for keeping Riley. I can see a case for moving on from Riley. I think I could look at that with each of those guys. And it comes down to needing to trust Dabo Swinney to make the right calls, that he sees what's going on back there. But I also know that when the public comments that he has made when what did I say a couple episodes? We hadn't heard the just a few plays away talk. And then
Heard
for
it
this bowl
yesterday.
game, we heard it after the game, we heard it before the game. It really ends up becoming a thought that doesn't match anymore, right? Like a few
Right.
years ago, it was just a few plays away. There were only a couple of losses. There were close games. That's just a few plays away. When Syracuse comes in and just bullies you into a blowout loss on your own home turf, when Penn State does to you in that fourth quarter what they just did to your team, and yeah, I know we were down to third string defensive tackles for Clemson in that game against backup offensive linemen, and well, where's the development, like you said, so something's got to give, something's got to change, and it'll be interesting to see which coaches stay, which coaches go, and then which are there more players going to opt out? Will we see more announcements of players going into the portal? Will we see the number of takes from the portal that really need to happen? Because that Pinstripe Bowl was an absolute indicator that there is not enough depth for this team to take a step forward without using the portal. And you and I, again, very happy with the freshman recruiting classes about to come on. A lot of early enrollees, and you can coach those guys up better. But it still doesn't mean that you're going to get a bunch of impact starters right away who can come in and be better than the guys that you saw yesterday. I think Contavious Polo Anderson is going to be a big help at safety. I do think he can make an impact early on. I don't know if he starts against LSU in Baton Rouge on the road. We've seen Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore not be on the field, not be called upon against Georgia in a season opener. And then the very next week, they show what they can do to change that offense in a hurry. So next season is going to be interesting to find out who can come along, how quickly, and when. I don't think we're going to see Tate Reynolds start at quarterback after he missed a bunch of games this year as senior year in high school with an injury. I don't think we're going to see a lot of guys leapfrog all the way to the top. There's no running back, so it's got to be Gideon Davidson and Izimume and whoever else is going to, maybe a healthy Jay Haynes or a healthy Jarvis Green or a portal guy. So what's it going to be? What is this portal season going to look like for Clemson? How different will it be? And then we saw essentially a spring game yesterday against an opponent with so many backups out there on the field. What is the Clemson spring game going to look like? It might be a good year to actually have that on television and let people see what these guys are capable of doing. Then again, we'd heard a lot from Dabo Swinney this year about, well, I don't understand what it is. They can do it in practice. Well, maybe one of those things they can do well in practice is throw short of the third down marker and convert the yardage because they're going up against a deep Clemson defense in those practices that continually gives up yards after catch on third down so that a guy can catch the ball short of the marker for the opponent and convert the first down against Clemson. So that may be one of those things that just seems so mystifying to the coach, at least publicly. I'm sure there are different messages behind the curtain. I'm sure there is harsher coaching going on and more urgency being expressed than is expressed publicly. Look, Dabo Swinney has to come out and say Vizzina's his guy. He's ready. It's his turn. Because if everybody who can fit what Clemson wants to do gets that, if Clemson gets outbid for each of those quarterbacks and they can't find anyone to come in at the price that Clemson is offering, or if the bidding war just escalates too high, you have to have expressed that confidence in Vizzina just in case you got shut out. So it's not a guarantee that Vizzina is going to be the starter next year. We're gonna see all that unfold. you cannot, there have been a lot of referendums also in the last couple of years. Oh, is this Florida State Clemson game the referendum on Dabo Swinney's stance on the portal? Well, Clemson lost one of those, Clemson won one of those. It's been a split lately. My bigger concern is the difference between Clemson and Florida State is Clemson hasn't had any losing seasons in the last 8 years compared to 6 losing seasons for Florida State in the last 8 years. That's the big picture. That's the referendum, win or lose, no matter how you get there. However, I do think yesterday's game was a referendum on is Clemson accruing enough depth and can the Tigers get back to where they were? Look, maybe the strategy to get past that 2030 change and to maybe get into a bigger, maybe it's to look like what Vanderbilt used to be and to say, hey, let us in and you'll win a bunch of games against us in conference every year and you'll pad your record and you'll all look good. I hope that is not going to be the case. I hope that Vanderbilt returns to where they used to be and Clemson returns to where it used to be. I just don't know. There's a lot of change, and I do believe that it's going to be easier to have stronger opinions. And I think we've got pretty strong opinions right now, but I think that's only going to get more so when we see just what happens over the next couple of weeks with the players roster and with the coaching staff.
Yeah, look, Vanderbilt's way closer than Clemson is to being nationally relevant. And we've never said that. Clemson is not nationally relevant
No,
right
not
now.
right now.
They're not. They're not. And, so, and Bill, I'll go back to the first drive of the game. Why does your punter even have the option to throw a fake punt?
Terrible.
And Dabo, as he's walking off the field, tells him, just punt the ball. Why is that even in the playbook that he has the option to run that?
Yeah,
I
Hannafin
don't
was not
care.
looking for the ball.
I don't care if Hannafin is standing out there by himself and they don't cover him. You don't throw the ball, Jack Smith, to Ronan Hannafin. And if you're going to do that, leave your quarterback on the field and go for it.
Yeah.
It's a bowl game. Who cares? The outcome of yesterday's game doesn't matter
Right.
in a hill of beans. What matters is Penn State played with a backup quarterback who looked better than your third string quarter or your third year starting quarterback has ever looked. And they played with a coaching staff that is splintered, looking for jobs, doesn't know what staff they're going to be on next year, and they look more organized than your staff did. And that's where you are right now as a Clemson football fan. They've lost 10 games the last 2 years. 10. And they've lost some games that there's no way you look back and say, how in the world did you lose that game? Not that it was a couple of plays away, that you got run up and down the field where you couldn't stop anybody.
Right.
So, look, I am not fire Dabo Swinney guy. I trust Dabo Swinney. You know what I trust? I trust when I've seen somebody do it before, and he's done it before. So I trust that he can do it again. But where's that guy that when he got the job looked like he had something to prove, as opposed to what he said Saturday after the game? Yeah, there's a lot of people that want me to win games, but my job is to, and I'm paraphrasing here, build good young men.
Right.
You've done both.
Right.
You've shown you can do both. Why is it an either or now? You did both. And I have very little confidence that this program is getting back to being, it's never going to win 2 national titles in 3 years again. Not in my lifetime. And I hope I live another 50 years. But I don't think that will ever happen. It's never happened in the history of the program. Right. So why would it happen again? So I'm not talking about that. But we're about to go to a 16-team playoff, and Clemson has no path to that right now because it is so far behind. And nobody wants to acknowledge, it seems like nobody wants to acknowledge that.
Right.
And I don't understand, where's that guy where it felt like it was everything in his being to prove that I'm the right guy for this program, instead of where they are right now, where it feels like they got a little comfortable and satisfied. And, we heard him say it this year, how dare you question me, that kind of stuff. I'll go somewhere else. I mean, that's not the guy that Clemson needs right now. Clemson needs that guy that's going to dig his heels in and show you that he's the guy
There you go.
and that this is the right program. And I don't see that right now. I don't. And again, I'm not, Dabo shouldn't be fired. I'm not saying any of that. But the guy that built the Clemson program from pretty much nothing, that's the guy Clemson needs again.
There you go.
And I know it's in there. We've seen him do it.
And we got to close it there. We'll find out. Like I said, the next 2 weeks are going to be critical to seeing what the future of the Clemson program will be. And we will be tracking all of it right here, Reign Supreme All Podcast Season 4. Until our next episode, I'm Bill Zimmerman.
I'm Daniel Shirley. Go Tigers. Into the portal.